My father left India when he was 16. He emigrated to Kenya. The farm was too small as it would get divided between generation and generation down to the children, and his share of the farm was very small. My uncle kind of sponsored him to come over to Kenya sometimes in the 40s, early 40s, and he started. He opened a small convenience store, a provision store selling cigarettes, single cigarettes, scoops of oil, and then a hardware shop. And the kind of business was always in my blood. So to me, it just comes very natural. I guess my childhood was memories are very, very good, fun-loving. I was born in Kenya, next to Lake Victoria, so to me, the lakes and water is very much part of my life. And I thoroughly enjoyed myself until I kind of get towards the end of my kind of pre-high school, when there was no further education opportunities. Then I had to leave my parents to go overseas. And I didn't see my father much after that as he passed away, and that's the sad part. Well, I never really wanted to be a pharmacist. I wanted to do aeronautic engineering. And my father kind of laughed it off and said, you go and become a doctor. He thought obviously I was more clever than I was. He sent me to England to study medicine. I went to boarding school in Truro. I came in the late 60s. It was an era when it was great fun, long hair, Beatles music, and education wasn't exactly on my agenda. So I didn't get the grades to get into medical college, and either I had to go back home or grab another degree in order that I get my money from Kenya, because Kenya had exchange control. Unless you're studying, you couldn't remit money. So I just followed the Polytechnic postmat and said, what courses you got? This is my subject, and suggested pharmacy. And I said, okay. I turned up next day and I enrolled. So it was by default. I guess my parents always been in business. My father had a hardware shop, and I used to always work for him in holidays. He used to sell those plows that pulled by cows or bullocks. And it was, to me, they're like a big Meccano. I used to make it up myself. And I always wanted to be in business. So the fact that I was doing pharmacy, I didn't see myself as working for Boots or working for somebody else. And I was inspired to buy my own shop and stay over because, as I explained, my father passed away just when I qualified. And Idi Amin had thrown a lot of all the Asians out of Uganda. So there was nothing to go back for. And so I decided to stay over. What money we got for the insurance policy, we thought we'll invest in a business. My brother and my mother came over. And so pharmacy, just because I was a pharmacist, and it was the only thing I could think of buying. So I just bought 2 shops on the same day in Southborough in 1975. The mission was to have like a bridgehead and here where we establish something that the family can come over, we can start all over again. And there was no mission beyond just making a safe living to support my mother and my brother and his wife. And I think his daughter was only about 5 or 6 years old then. So that was a pure mission then. Later on, obviously, after reading Napoleon Hill, and I decided to maybe expand. And I would just set myself a target, and I'll probably hit the target before the time I set for it. So I'll set another target, and I'll beat it. Now and then, obviously, economic crisis comes and sends me backwards. But so that's where it is. Obviously, the greatest inspiration has come from my father. The values that he drove in our family are the values in Day Lewis. Day Lewis is a caring family culture because it's my father's values that we just copied, me and my brother. And so sacrosanct to us that we hold them, we nourish them. We in a recruitment policy, we make sure that we don't lose that because it's very much part of our own family. The main challenge has always been riding economic cycles. I never trained as a businessman. I'm a gut-filled businessman. If I want to do something, we just think quickly in my mind, and I would just take a risk. And as I grew in the 80s, we had 32 shops, and the economic conditions were pretty dire. interest rates went up to 14%. That's the first time I heard the word recession. I'm a pharmacist. Economics is something I didn't understand. So we nearly went bust. We had to sell a lot of our shops, basically down to 8 shops, just managed to survive bankruptcy. It was a pretty hard time. And then went on and flipped the culture over. We realized then that running businesses without empowering people to manage and take ownership wasn't the right model. To run a business without dashboard and finger on the pulse and knowing exactly where the business is in terms of cash flow, profitability, what is happening, it's not a good idea. It's like really driving a car in the dark on a stormy day without any dashboard. And finally, I also learned the economics is something that you need to understand, especially macroeconomics. What happens in Japan or America comes to bite very quickly. The world is getting flat. So the biggest, obviously, hit came to us in 2007. The government decided the NHS needed some money. They looked at the pharmacy profits. They decided to take nearly £500 million out in that year. Our share of the clawback, it was called, so we had to start paying money back to the NHS for extra profit that people had enjoyed, pharmacy owners had enjoyed the previous year. Our share was £6 million. And we were just getting over that, paying £500,000 a month back, having a lot of austerity, cutting our costs, not people costs, but non-people costs. And then the bank's crisis came, the credit crunch. Our bank was RBS, and they had issues. So again, we had to start looking at reducing our loans and looking for syndicate banks. So that period then was probably the most traumatic. But financially, we came out of it better purely because this time around, of a culture of bottom-up, people empowerment, people actually responded. And our colleagues the 2,000 colleagues in pharmacy, they actually produced better results, better stock control, better services. And we just actually came out of it far stronger. Right now, this year, we're stronger than the year we entered the recession. My ultimate vision for Day Lewis is really to keep it private, pass it down to my children, and educate my children to educate their children, to live as a family entity, and see Day Lewis become a very multinational company, diversify away from retail as well, go into manufacturing, upstream, downstream, all kind of, make it safe so that no economic recession or no condition, any one part of our business can hurt the business ever again. And really, it would give me great pleasure to see the company just go from strength to strength and maybe one day hit £1 billion sales, hopefully not too much past the next generation. 10 years, I call it, I would like to double the size. We are 243 shops now. I would like to have 400 shops under ownership, either fully or partially, and also be more, have an international presence. Have pharmacy out in Ireland, in some of the Eastern European countries, not just England. So, and only half our income really should come from retail. Looking for ways of investing family money outside pharmacy as well and diversifying, whether it's properties, whether other joint ventures, still in healthcare or in properties, but that way we diversify the risk. I guess my fondest memory has been the people and the way they responded when we really needed them, when we had to pay the £6 million back. The family dug into reserves, and we had £3 million that we raised on our properties we put back into the company, and we were still £3 million short. So I wrote to every single staff explaining to them the problem and that we're not selling out. We would like to really ride the cycle. And they brought in £3.3 million efficiency in 1 year. And to me, I look back at that, and it shows that when you cite people in a good time, they back you at the bad times. I'm a very, very staunch Liverpool fan. So are my 3 children. I've been to Athens, went to Istanbul when we won the cup. So really supporting my team is my passion. You could say my hobby is golf, but I'm not really a good golfer. but it hurts me every time Liverpool concede a goal, and it hurts me even more when they lose. Each year from now on, I'm going to do what my kids call taking off my bucket list. Last year, we climbed the Kilimanjaro, the 3 children, myself, my wife, and another friend of mine and his family. And he gave me a great satisfaction that all of us, all 10 of us, made it to the top. It wasn't easy. Only half the people make it. It just shows that the unity that we have, we supported each other. So that was last year. This year I did even more crazy thing. We and the 3 pharmacy colleagues, we bought a Land Cruiser and we drove all the way from London to India, overland, to 17 countries, 22,000 kilometers. The highest altitude was 17,000 at the Everett base camp. Freezing cold, and you can get altitude sickness. And it was really incredible, And at times, hotels, we had to knock on people's doors and flash $100 bill to let us sleep on the floor in our sleeping bags. There's food poisoning, and you go through the Russian army on the eastern Ukraine border. It's a lot of crazy things, but it was fantastic trip. So I guess next year we're still thinking what to do, possibly Cairo, Cape Town. Could be Panama Canal to Cape Cod. Pharmacy is not a product industry anymore. Pharmacy is very much selling health. And in my opinion, only the best empowered, motivated, skilled people who take ownership, can deliver the best service. And so it's the people in organization, and for us, we invest in our people, and the fact that we got gold invested in people, which really, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2% of the companies in the country get. And that's the uniqueness of how we do business. And obviously the recognition that Day Lewis gets in the marketplace, the respect he gets, because of the way the people in the organization and my senior managers, the colleagues and the family behave and treat other people. And I think it makes me very proud that we've established something. And for example, last week in the Sunday Times Top Track 250, which looks at the mid-cap 250 companies, the most profitable companies, we were in there among the likes of Aston Martins. Where is Aston Martin and where is Day Lewis, a company we founded 39 years ago? To be even on the same page, it makes me very proud.